quite similar to what I just asked you. Do you read your previous Discworld novels? If so, in what way do you consider your style of writing has changed? I mean, in a way you've just kind of answered
well,
that.
yeah, I think it's it just got better. That's all, just better, and less gag-filled.
You're moving very close to that.
Yes, I know. I keep looking down. So,
I'm just worried about the gap.
okay, well, it's my gap here. I'll go a little forward.
Forward a bit.
Yes, that's right.
One thing I've been thinking about your work recently is that I've always assumed, possibly wrongly, that you're either an agnostic or an atheist, and yet you love to write about gods, you love playing with the world of the supernatural. It's an intriguing bit of a contradiction.
I think it's a contradiction. I mean, I call myself a humanist because I think we are all we've got. But on the other hand, I think nearly everyone has some kind of sneaking idea that the universe must have purpose. Purpose possibly without anyone or thing to give it purpose. And then you can start saying, well, maybe we give it some purpose. And then that starts getting fun, and you think, if I'd known about theology when I was a kid, I think I would have become a theologian, because it's, you know, it's easy work in the dry with no heavy lifting, and there aren't any conclusions that you can really come to. You know, a good gig if you can get it. I'm just fascinated by the whole idea of belief and things, and I suspect that most people in this country now believe in something which I call Jesus Light, which is, let's forget the war god of the Israelites. Let's forget the Old Testament except as a kind of strange history book and a list of begats. And remember that a man said, love one another and do the good that's in front of you, and that's it. The only other things you need to put in your holy book are, what part of this don't you understand?
See, reading your books, I mean, particularly stuff like Small Gods, clearly you have done an awful lot of reading around theological issues.
Yeah, well, yeah, and thinking about them. I mean, some people just sit there and think for a while and come up with things. It's called writing. I didn't mean to be sarcastic there.
I'm not hurt. Can you talk a bit about the process of writing?
Well, you asked me that before in a way, but it really is, you throw a stone and then you go where that stone lands. It really is that sort of thing. Snuff is the one that's going through my mind now, because of course this is the one that's still current for me. Nation now, I Shall Wed Midnight is now kind of dead because it belongs to these people. It doesn't belong to me anymore. But I start off, and it's probably the despair of my publisher. I just go for it. I want to get the stuff down. I want to find out what this story is about. I'm not going to sit down and work it out. I'm going to go through it. And so that's why we had to do about two days of concentrated editing, because I've made mistakes here. I think we had a whole day went missing and things like that. But the important thing is to get the bulk of the narrative down, get the soul nailed down, and then you can play with it after. I don't know where it comes from, and sometimes it comes on without, you don't know why. In Snuff, as I'm writing it, I'm giving nothing away, there is a character called Stinky, who has very little to do, and I suddenly found more than halfway through the book that he is very important. I had no idea. So I don't know what actually happens. I mean, I don't believe in many things. I do believe that there is some kind of déjà vu which happens in the brain. the brain actually remembers something, remembers an idea it's going to have. Because that's the only way you can explain it. Because so often, something I put in on the off chance turns out to be important later on, and I simply don't understand why.
Can you remember much about how I Shall Wear Midnight started and developed?
Yes, actually this is a good one.
We'll be the judge of that.
No, this one is a good one.
Okay.
Because I am a judge. And my stiffest one, I have to say. I knew I wanted a new Tiffany Aching one in, and I knew I wanted something, we can mention names now, I wanted to get the cunning man in, so I wanted that kind of thing. Didn't quite know what I was going to do. Just a moment, excuse me, Miss Philippa.
Yes.
I can mention the plot now, can't I? Yes. Oh, that's all right then, because they bought their books. Well, you never know. I don't want to get into trouble again. And it really went like this. I mean, I don't really know how this is going to go. I know where all the pieces are. I know the things I wanted to put in, but I didn't really knew jack shit as far as the whole thing was concerned. But I wanted to do the scouring of the giant, because that's really from real life anyway, and I've done a little bit of research for that. And also it's got lots of knob gags. I mean, almost the ultimate knob gags, really. Like Tiffany trying, so it's no matter if you say he's got no pants, that just doesn't actually cover the no pants that he doesn't have. And there's all that, and that, as it were, that was me sort of getting warmed up on the touchline.
Yeah.
And then the two little kids turn up, and they're going to give her this little bouquet, because that's what the little kids do when you're scouring all the weeds. And then the little girl says, do you have any passionate parts, miss? And because that's what her granny said. And then you realise, from things that happen later on, this is fallen out with her boyfriend, who we meet later on in that scene. And she goes home alone from the scouring, where many of them are not only going home in couples, but indeed coupling where they are. And that starts to tell you that the things that her internal monologue is not going to tell you. She's keeping that to herself. And then, of course, I put the cheese rolling in, because this was going to get the Fiegels in, and so on, and it went on. And then I knew about the girl being beaten up by her dad, and I knew about the rough music. And one thing actually followed another. It really is amazing how it goes. It's as if you train your mind to think narratively, and it sort of does it by itself, and every now and again sort of sits up and begs for a bone.
Well, what about something like the sub-theme of the murder of the baby, and the sub-theme of fundamentalism and witchcraft?
It's not exactly fundamentalism. It's what happens with its rumours. It's picking on the weakest because things have gone wrong. And sometimes religion actually does encourage that sort of thing. But it's not particularly anti-religion, although personally I am. But my characters don't necessarily have to be. But, you know, there's a line in there, poison goes where poison's welcome. It's people looking for an excuse to beat up the outsider, the old, the useless, the different. And Tiffany and indeed me are against that.
Who do you read now? Who do you recommend people read apart from yourself?
I very seldom read a work of fiction. Because I've written so much and I've read so much fiction over the years. And I tend to read weird books, things like A History of the Frozen Water Chain, A History of the Frozen Water Trade in the north of America in the 1970s. Now you think, gosh, that's exciting. But if I tell you, but picture the scene, you have carts galloping through the woods of Maine, sawing up blocks of ice, and fighting to get to the next pond to claim it before your rivals do. Then, because there isn't enough ice, actually going back to the ship, put all the ice in the kind of cold storage, then you go and find the nearest iceberg and start mining that. Then you actually, now you've got to sail it down to Cuba or New Orleans, where however much of that ice has melted, the rest of it is going to be worth gold because it's so hot down there. Then on the way, the pirates strike. And they go, have a look down in the hold. It's just full of water. All right, okay. Sorry about this. See you next time. And there's, in it is the core of a story, or part of a story, or the shape of a story. 1 minute, one more minute, because we're up against, because midnight will not wait, you know. One last quick question then.
Anyone out there got a quick question? Yes, gentlemen there.
Have you got any plans for a Discord novel around the 2012 Olympic Games?
No!
Which means we've got time for one more question.
Okay.
Gentlemen there.
When do you work out the end of the book?
Round about the end. I mean, usually I have a pretty good idea by halfway through, a very good idea another quarter of the way through, but the fine detail of the ending, and whether the ending is the ending, as in Unseen Academicals, that's got 4 separate endings because of the 4 threads, but that's fine. The last bit will probably be worked at, as it were, by hand, and that would be it, and probably not even sort of edited again. That I'll know what all the ending will be like, and that's what it will be. And it probably is time to go, is it not?
And thank you all for listening so beautifully, and see you later.
I have